Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I've got a fantastic duo for us today. Eli, Libby, and Kyle Nelson coming out of Bend, Oregon. They are fulfillment coaches and they do solo retreats, coaching, and masterminds. And they're also the founders of and hosts of BizBros Podcast. And I'm really happy to bring them onto the show and talk about the fantastic work that they're doing. Hey, guys, Kyle, Eli, welcome.
What's up, man? We are very excited to be here. Yes.
Yeah, I know we connected through Podmatch, and a lot of the audience they're interested in coaching. Talk about your journey and background and how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Eli and I have been in the coaching space for about 7 years, more focusing on businesses and consultancy. And we've had multiple businesses together. But just recently, a few years ago, we started getting into just personal coaching, specifically helping people find fulfillment. And what we do is we help people find self-awareness, understand intentional living, and solitude and stillness through a 3-day solo retreat. And our company is called Peak Fulfillment. And so people go on a 3-day solo retreat. They go out in a place of solitude and peace wherever they are, and they go through daily workbooks. Those daily workbooks have to do with self-reflection, self-discovery, and vision crafting. At the end of the day, they have a transformational experience when they get back home and really understand what their guiding North Star is and really feeling some passion and purpose behind their lives.
And and Eli, do you have anything to add to that, or is
your listeners they're entrepreneurs, so there's typically a lot of different involvements that our program has with entrepreneurs. And what I mean by that is these chapters and transitions that we all go through, but particularly as entrepreneurs, we go through a lot of these different identity changes or transitions in either the business, how we are as a leader, how do we present to our family. And our solo retreat program has just been an amazing entry point for people to step back, give themselves that permission, and better understand who they are and why they are the way they are.
Yeah. And what I've really noticed is, because I have colleagues that kind of do these, they call them silent retreats, where basically, or you put away your phone, you're in nature.
Exactly.
They're like on a vegan diet. What is it about this format that is so effective?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there in terms of silent retreats. So a lot of people refer to the style of work that we do are silent retreats, but there is one issue with a silent retreat. A lot of times they're not quite guided. And so a lot of times people are going out there and they don't quite have the guidance that they need when it comes to journaling. There's no thoughts, there's no exercises or specific activities. So although silent retreats are awesome, we've all gone on them. Our program specifically is a guided program. So you're getting 3 to 6, some people even say 12 months of work done in 3 days. And I believe the popularity around silent retreats is there's so much input in our lives, right? Everyone's overstimulated. There's so many people just coming at you from every single direction. As an entrepreneur, you're balancing so much in life. And so sometimes we just need to go disconnect to reconnect with who we truly are, a digital detox, and really just reinvent and re-identify who we are moving forward. Because a lot of times we get in that plateaued, that stuck position in our life where you just don't really know what's next. And you feel like it's mundane, the daily work that you're doing, and there's no excitement again. So removing yourself from that environment and putting yourself in an environment of solitude and stillness and really resetting and recalibrating your nervous system and your mindset in general is so powerful, because what you need in life is truly in here. And it just takes you spending the time, investing in it, and giving yourself permission for that time to go in and work on those things.
Boom. That was beautiful, dude. You nailed it. I don't think there's much to add, Christopher, besides the silent retreat typically is by yourself. You're literally trying to create silence. The program differentiates a little bit when there's actually a self-guided aspect to the program. So it's not just going out in the forest in silence. We have guided workbooks that we've curated and we've built through our experiences over the last years, where it is about self-discovery, self-reflection, and then vision crafting. And this applies to everybody, but entrepreneurs seem to really eat this up because they're looking for that clarity and that North Star on that road ahead. And it's amazing when you have that space away from the business, the family, to think about what that is.
Yeah. A follow-up question I have for you is this because I spent some time at it's called the Scandinavian Spa up in Vancouver, and yeah, in that place you're not allowed to talk. What is the benefit of not talking? Because like you're with other people, and is not being able to talk a hindrance, or how does that help?
It's a good question.
Great question. We all have the nice thing about if you go in silence and you go in solitude and you're in stillness, the amount of inner dialogue that we all have, it may get suppressed around everybody, or you're exuding those thoughts to other people. When you're in silence, that inner dialogue is very loud, and it's amazing. You start to hear yourself going through different thought processes or doing that deep inner work, and a lot of stuff is coming out and festering up. And it's really cool to have that moment with yourself versus whether you're putting on a face or something when you're interacting with other groups. This is with you by yourself. So it's just a little more comfortable aspect is our perception on that.
Yeah. What, do you have anything to add to that?
I think there's something to say to silence in terms of just practicing. I think a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves and it's just constant output. Sometimes when you just shut off, you learn a lot of things about yourself that you can't do that with others around you, or even on a guided retreat with other people. And so the silent retreats or the silent spas, like you're saying, just any kind of program like that, it really allows you to get back to your root and have that inner deep work and that inner dialogue, like you really understanding exactly what are the thoughts that are going in my mind, what are my behaviors. Let's reflect a little bit, and it just gives you that time of just stillness, and it's really powerful. It's really powerful. The first day is usually pretty nerve-wracking and lonely and depressing because you're trying to figure it out. You're like, oh, this is weird. Well, I'm working on myself. But after that, you start getting into the groove, and you're like, oh, great. I'm wrapping it up now. I wish I could have another few more days just to myself. So,
yeah, and I totally agree, Kyle, with what you said. The other thing too, with your audience specifically, is we're being honest and transparent. Not everybody is an extrovert. There's a lot of introverts in the entrepreneur world, and the in-person retreats is sometimes hard to get to just emotionally, to go out and interact and be this uppity person. So the solo retreat and silent retreats, they do a great job of kind of allowing it to be the gateway for you to enter a mastermind, enter an in-person retreat, and have a nice baseline and foundation and something to break the ice with other people if you're very introverted. And that's something that we've found working really well. And it's just a character trait we've seen come through our program as well.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit about the benefits. Can you walk us through what a typical retreat experience looks like?
Yeah. When you sign up for our solo retreat, you have an initial call with us where we just talk about what's your intention going into it. What are things that you need to work on? But you don't really know what's going to happen. We do keep it very secret because we want to make sure it's powerful and you don't prepare for it. You need to be in a space of just vulnerability and openness and allowing yourself to just really work on those things as they come. And so we actually ship you a box experience with different items in it that is completely sealed that you can't open until you actually go on your retreat. And in there, I'll mention a few things. There's 3 daily workbooks, and each of those workbooks are sealed that you only can work on those workbooks day 1, day 2, and day 3, because it is in a sequential order. And there's a few other items in there that if you'd like to take a solo retreat, you can find out, but it just helps round the experience all together, and just some items that are complementary to some of the workbook activities. And then after that, once you wrap up, we have a debrief call immediately after your solo retreat within a couple days. And we just talk about those aha moments, the moments that, really dived into and you learned about. And then every 2 weeks after that, we do 2 more accountability debriefing calls. How are things going? Are you staying accountable to things you said you would after this retreat? Are you still living with intentionality? Are you still practicing self-awareness on it on a daily basis, and a few other things? And people are finding on these retreats, a lot of people are journaling over 100 pages within a few days because there's just so much going on in here. And the power of just writing it down is so powerful. And people go back on their debrief calls and they're like, oh, I forgot to talk about this. I forgot on day 1 on activity 4 that there was this that I learned about myself. So really cool things that we see that people are learning and really finding out like what their roadblock is to really powering through where they need to get in life.
Yeah, interesting. And then looks like that's one entry. The other question is, it integrates with your mastermind program, and how does that work?
Absolutely. And that's a really cool part. Like I said, is when you join the mastermind and you become a part of this group, you have an amazing foundation and you have that icebreaker. Where did you go on your solar retreat? What was your big aha moment? What was your big takeaway? Those are great ways to integrate it into a mastermind. The mastermind is really fun because it can be like a man in the middle or women in the middle, doesn't matter. And the group can come around and surround, support, and get clarity around what that person or that individual needs, along with an immense list of great guest speakers that come in and talk to the mastermind group. And that is where they can go very deep as a thought leader into what they own and the things that they do and how they can support our community. The mastermind and just it's not only in the coaching world, but it's in the business world a lot. Like CEO groups, breakout masterminds, they're around for a reason because it's a safe place where you can bounce ideas off, you can get feedback, and you can hear that other people go through the same stuff you're going through, and you're not alone. And that right there could be one of the most impactful things, in my opinion, of a mastermind, is you're doing this with a whole other group of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what kind of feedback have you received from those who've completed the retreat?
So many different experiences.
Yeah.
People that are working on their relationships and traumas they've had through that. People that have plateaued in their careers and they're looking how to break through. Individuals that even as just as small as I learned that I'm a procrastinator and I'm able to understand that I'm a procrastinator and that's something I need to work on. Really, the sky is the limit. People that never have worked on their identity. Like, how do I identify myself? I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, that's what most of us identify ourselves as, but there's a lot more to who we are. And when you re-identify yourself, that's something that's a North Star that you can run towards. Eli, you want to jump on some of the other experiences?
Absolutely. For me, I'll share is that okay if I share a personal story here? Is that okay? It relates to an experience. So when I did my solo retreat, this was way back when we were like building the program and getting it set up. And the one thing that I really wanted to hear from a student, and I would look them in the eye and hear them say, and my purpose then would slide into it, is if I heard somebody say, this changed my life. And we launched the program, we get it going and get it up and running. And the first student we had come through our door to do a solo retreat, they went and they came back, and the first debrief call, they said that. They said, this changed and transformed my life. And from that moment on, that was the validation that personally me needed. Kyle, he has other ways to validate too. But that was like my seeing that from a customer experience that just, it changed my life. Not only it changed his life, but that was an amazing experience to see. And it sounds cliche that we're saying we're changing people's lives, but everybody that's gone through our program has said that in some form. And it's extremely fulfilling for us when we hear those words.
The other, how do you personalize solo retreats for each participant?
An amazing question.
Good question. Most of it is just a program that we created and that applies to everyone. It is a choose your own journey process in it. So as you go through these workbooks, there's different questions, different activities and prompts that you can choose to do as you go through it to see where you're needing to work on. So a few other things along the way, including the debrief calls and the coaching calls that we do, that really does make it personalized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you, the other question I have is these workbooks, besides the workbooks, is there like a guide, like someone that guides the participants, or is it just like they show up and they've got these guides and they just go through them? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how it works is they pick a place of peace, solitude, stillness, whatever that might be. Yours might be an Airbnb on the ocean. For me, it's camping in the woods. Whatever that is, you determine that. Our team can help you pick that out. If you're like, hey, I don't really know, I want a 2-hour radius behind my house, we will help you. They take the box experience and they do it in solitude and in stillness. We're not there. There's nobody guiding them. And that's where Kyle says it's a choose your own journey type of thing. You get out of this as much as you want, but it creates self-discipline that you've paid for our program. And now you're actually here running through the workbooks. If you don't want to do anything about it and you would just be on your phone the whole time, you're eroding that experience and that gift that you've given yourself, which is stillness.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I think just adding a little bit more color to how the program goes. And again, it's self-guided.
Interesting. Okay. That makes more sense. And
Yeah.
yeah, really interesting. Um, so round it out, it's really interesting. And so and is this from a kind of, because I've heard like there's spiritual retreats, but it sounds like this is more of a personal development operating, like is it any spirituality in the program, or is it just more personal development and self-improvement?
Yeah, there's sections in it that we ask questions about your personal spirituality. It's not suggestive. We don't specifically focus on any kind of religion, just the spirit as a human. There's a spiritual as a spiritual being. So there's just questions about how did this affect your spiritual life? But for the most part, it's really focused around just different parts of your life and what makes up a human. Personal life, professional, your health, your mental health, your community and tribe, and a few other things. And the spirituality realm is in that.
Yeah, interesting. How can people find out more about it and learn more about it and sign up if they're interested?
Yeah, so you can go to peakfulfillment.co. That'll go to our website that will teach you everything about the 3-day solar retreats. Book a call, email us, and we're happy to get you started.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much for coming on, and it's really interesting, and I'm sure the audience will have found a lot of value in our conversation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great combo. Great questions as well.